Same? Oh, hey. Is everybody still tracking where we started, or should I go all the way back to the beginning? Because that was really as smooth as I can say it, so don't make me try to say it again. So anyway, I went sort of on a listening tour, if you will, for what is it that people are saying to each other that are making these complex, sometimes tedious relationships that span our lives possible. And so I started to keep a running list, and then as I would have an item for the list, I would start to write into it, if you will. So that means that I would take a writing session and sort of dedicate it to that idea. So let's say, I don't know came to mind, which is a very adult thing to say, and that we are a culture that loves conviction. And so I don't know can seem waffly or lame or just not a person that you want to follow, but it's so often the most true thing you could ever say. And so I started to keep a running tab on that, and I would write about my feelings about religion or my feelings of being told I don't know by, say, a doctor, when that's just so torturous and the absolute last thing you ever want to hear. And then if it would hold up under that kind of scrutiny, then it made its way into the book. But basically, the book is just a set of stories around these statements that I think can be useful and are useful in these relationships. The second stream that was happening was that I, after a long and great life, lost my father. And he was almost 85 years old. It was totally fair. Nonetheless, it was a moment. It is a moment. And then right on the heels of that, I lost a friend. And I don't know how many of you have lost a real friend. So it's such a significant moment, and I think it's packed with a lot of feelings about mortality, and then I think there's some survivor guilt. And it does ask certain questions of you. And to me, I was feeling like I urgently wanted to deserve my life and the people in it. And that made me cling to this idea that maybe there are these things I could be saying that would make that urgent desire true. And that's where the streams intersected. So I'm going to read from 3 different chapters this morning, and then we can do a little Q&A, and then I just got out of my podcast, so we can just stay here all day if you want. So the problem with death and grieving and crisis and the things that wake us up and shake us out of our ordinary days is that in the space around those moments, we have total clarity. You know exactly what matters and exactly what doesn't. And it turns out that the what doesn't pile is so much bigger than we generally give credit to. And that's where I was. When Liz died, I was in a state of clarity that I hadn't experienced quite like that before. When my dad died, I was in a state of just loss. But with Liz, there was something about it, her being a peer, knowing her family as well as I do, eulogizing her in front of her children, that created just 20/20 vision on my life and the ways that I could be in it that would be worthy. But it fades. And, it's almost like the thing that happens when you're maybe texting while driving, which I'm sure you don't do, but occasionally I do. And then you almost get in a fender bender and you have that spiky rush of adrenaline, and then you throw your cell phone on the passenger seat and say, I am never gonna do that again. And then 16 minutes later, you're I'm just gonna send one quick text. And it's just like that, you can't hold the position. And I was feeling that, and then it became very acute on this one morning. I live in Piedmont, and my kids had gone to school, and my husband had gone to work, and I was coming back down to the kitchen to clean it because my children are very busy with their work, and so is my husband, but I apparently am not. So I have time to do their dishes. And when I came down to the kitchen, on my kitchen table where I serve organic food that I buy from a grocery store that irritates me, there was a tiny little tidy pile of cut toenails. And I just felt like that was too much for me. And I was in my dad's pajamas, as I always am. I have like 4 pairs one for each season, and my giant red bathrobe. And I lost my mind a little bit, alone in my house. And then I was starting to bring it back, And then the way our house is situated, it's a little bit lower than street level, so you can see whoever's coming to the front door, and unfortunately, they can see you. And so I made eye contact with our UPS guy, and our UPS guy is, as yours may be as well, it could be the same guy for all I know, is like aggressively fit. And it's like almost offensive. And also I think he might be a swimmer or like a triathlete or something, because his legs are shaved. And which is not, I don't have a problem with it, except that mine weren't. And he's also very tan. He has like great muscle tone and I just felt like a total troll answering the door. He definitely felt sorry for me, like when he saw me. And but anyway, then he handed me this little envelope, and it was from J. Crew, and I got all excited because I had recently been scouring the final sales section like I do, and I had found this cute little top that I was going to wear to the Nantucket project because it was that red color that I think people wear on Nantucket. And it was linen, and it had this little placard, and I just felt like this was going to change my life, maybe. And so I hustled up the stairs, and I dropped out of my pajamas, and I put on this top. But the thing about clothes now, and I think it's been going on for several years, 2 things have been going on. One is that they've changed the sizes on us, right? So there's a lot of lying going on there. And then there's also a lot of Lycra. Like the Lycra lobby has been very effective, and almost all clothing that you are wearing right now has Lycra in it. So like for all you know, you've gained like 13 pounds, but all your clothes still fit. But linen is not like that. Linen has no give at all. So, I thought I was a 6. Maybe I turned into an 8. I don't know. But I put this thing on, and it was so tight, I couldn't get it off. So it was just on me, and like you could see the whole outline of my bra in the back, and it was just in all the puckering between my boobs, and I just couldn't get it off, and that was making me crazy again. I returned to the toenail moment, and then the only thing that I could do to get it off me was to cut it. So I had to cut it up the middle, and it was like a vest. And those things led me to the very end of the first chapter. And the name of this chapter is It's Like This. And what had happened was that I had started, my husband worked for Medium for a while. Do you know what Medium is? It's like Ev Williams' new project. He's the guy who started Twitter and made everybody write in very small doses. And now Medium is like unlimited length. It's funny, right? And like he created the need for the thing he made next. But anyway. So I was writing there, and it's like the classic San Francisco startup. Like they have a kombucha bar, they have meatless Mondays, they have nap pods. Do you know about these? This is where the millennials have sex, I think. Don't you? I mean, what do you do in a nap pod? I mean, not if you're our age, you don't, but the millennials. And then the other thing they have is this meditation teacher. And it's like not just any meditation teacher. It's Will Kabat-Zinn. Have you ever heard of him? So you know his dad, John Kabat-Zinn, I think, unless it's Kabat-Zinn, I should know. Anyway, I don't. He wrote, like, Wherever You Go, There You Are. He's like the father of transcendental meditation or mindfulness meditation. And so anyway, Will is their meditation teacher. And so after getting comfortable working at Medium and eating all their food, I got so comfortable that I started going to the meditation and like sitting right down next to the CEO and availing myself of all the benefits that he was underwriting for his staff. And this guy has a real vibe about him. Like, he's a person that you want to talk to privately. Like, he's a person who makes you feel like whatever he says is going to completely change the trajectory of your life. And I'm not alone in that, because people would always hover outside after class and see if they could like lob in their one problem to him and see if he could like magically wave a wand and make it go away. And so I was doing that, and he said to me, when I described this problem I had as exemplified by this rough morning I had had, he said, "It's like this." And I didn't really know what he meant by it, but it resonated in the way that like a great song lyric does, or a bit of poetry that you sort of commit to heart, even though you wouldn't really be able to parse it. So this is the very end of the chapter called It's Like This. I have to hold it way out here now. I'm sure you've noticed. I relax my face. I exhale. I console my reflection. It's like this, Kelly. This is how it goes. Hidden in the morning's frustrations, like a rattlesnake in the woodpile, is something else. I close my eyes so I can listen for the other thing, the further away, much worse thing, in the quiet of my own head. Life ends. I've known this since the summer of 1972, when an ambulance drove away in silence with the old lady up the street who gave out almond joys on Halloween. But now I've seen mortality do its awful ghosting up close twice, and that has changed the context of everything. In the new Zodiac, without Greenie, who is my father. Do you know that? If you don't know that, you can get out. Without Liz, all terms have been recalibrated. Pain is agony. Bad is fatal. The scale is reset, making it hard for me to reconcile what I've seen with how I live. Liz would have done a week of aggressive bromodomain inhibitors at Cedars-Sinai for one morning of hairballs, eggshells, and toenail clippings. To see her kids become teenagers screaming obscenities at each other in the hall, she'd have given up every organ in her pelvic cavity. Then there's Greenie, who would have told you that life was a carnival, all music and snack stalls, fortune tellers and strong men. It's magical lovey. Edward, my husband, called Greenie a happiness genius. But ask anyone, he was as excited about being alive as anyone you will ever meet. This isn't just a kid making a hero out of her dad. And me? I walked next to him in that festival light for almost 50 years. And then one night in February, his hand went still in mine. And here I am, same as ever, except quicker to anger and 13 pounds heavier. Shouldn't loss change a person for the better, forever? Maybe Will's curious phrase, "it's like this," applies here too. This forgetting, this slide into smallness, this irritability and shame, this disorienting grief, it's like this. Minds don't rest. They reel and wander and fixate and roll back and reconsider because it's like this, having a mind. Hearts don't idle. They swell and constrict and break and forgive and behold because it's like this, having a heart. Lives don't last. They thrill and confound and circle and overflow and disappear because it's like this, having a life. So the chapter that got the title, Tell Me More, was a gift to me from my friend from college, Tracy Tuttle, my college roommate, she has one of those names where you always say Tracy Tuttle. And I was driving with Tracy Tuttle to my 25th reunion at University of Richmond back east, and she was saying how she had begun starting this effort with her children and also her husband, because as we know, what works with the kids can sometimes work with the husband. Look at that man back there. He's like, is this what they talk about when we're not around? It is. That and tampons. So anyway, she was saying that she was trying this thing where she, instead of trying to help solve her children's problems, which to me seemed like the very definition of motherhood, she was just trying to say, tell me more, what else, go on. And it was her belief that maybe if you did that enough, they would find like the thing behind the thing behind the thing that was really bothering them versus their presenting issue, which was hardly ever the real thing. And that they would, once they kind of extinguished their white-hot emotional need to be felt, then they would solve their own problem because their cognitive abilities would resurface. And that was an idea that made total sense to me, that there is this like driving need for all people to feel they've been felt. And that once that's resolved, then they can pretty much figure out the rest. And the only way to resolve it is to keep saying, tell me more, what else, go on. And it's like cleaning out your garage or something. Like there's the thing in the front, but there's like 7 things behind that you have to get to until you see the back wall. And so right as we were exploring this concept, my daughter called, and she had a presenting issue. Somebody said something mean to her at school, and she was crying, which is very unusual for this one daughter. One of my daughters is very free with the emotion, and the other is very not. And this was the not one. So I put it, this is horrible, don't tell her if you know her. I see you. But I put her on speakerphone, and I let Tracy Tuttle like Cyrano de Bergerac me, where she would say, now say, go on. And now say it, so to say it back to her. And so we did that, and it happened right in front of my eyes, like the best magic trick ever. And then I went home, and I had been given this fantastic gift of a facial at a spa in San Francisco. And I don't get a lot of facials, as you may have guessed by looking at this face. And so I went into San Francisco, and I was all excited, and I parked and got into this beautiful place, with like the kookaburra music, sitar, flutes, et cetera, and all the glorious smells that come when you open the door of a spa. And then this woman, Tish, came out and said, are you Kelly? And welcomed me back. And then she put me down on this like bed of roses practically, and there's layers of sheets and the thing just right on your head. And then she lowered the lamp/magnifying glass to like inches above my nose. And I was into it. I mean, I was into like the care and the service, but I was also like drifting over here to this terrible story I had heard on NPR that we all have mites all over our faces, like all the time. And I was feeling like if anyone could see my mites, it would be Tish under that thing. And then I pushed myself back to the music. And so anyway, it was a really positive experience, and I really liked Tish. And then it got to the point in the appointment where she was probably contractually obligated to foist upon me some lotions and potions such that I could take my beautiful face and make it even better at home. And so before she did that, I said, Tish, I feel like I know what's about to happen, and like, I'm definitely gonna listen, but can I just tell you a few things about myself before we go into this? And she said, go ahead. And I said, well, the first thing is, I'm like congenitally cheap. Like, I have made terrific progress from the woman who raised me, like compared to her. Like I shop at the Gap instead of the Old Navy outlet. But I did have to be like pushed from wearing Costco clothes. Like my husband said, you're the only person I'm allowed to have sex with for the rest of my life, so can you please never wear those Costco clothes again? And I said, they are Levi's. And he said, they are not Levi's. They're not. I don't know what they are. I see the tag. They are not Levi's. And, like I don't typically buy anything special. Like I don't have dandruff, but my husband does. And so I just use the Head and Shoulders. And I just use like Old Spice or on my face. Like, he washes his armpits with it and I wash my face with it. So she said, what else? Tell me more. And I said, well, I'm not like super awesome with healthy habits. Like, I don't exercise. And because I don't exercise, I don't really sweat. And because I don't sweat, I don't really have a need to take like tons of showers. And I have really thick hair, so I can go for like a really long time. Like, I definitely did not take a shower this morning for you guys. And I think I'm getting away with it. Like, did anyone here think like she didn't even take a fucking shower for us? You didn't, because I'm passing. So anyway, I'm telling Tish, like, so if it's like some kind of regimen that you're going to give me like that, it just won't work. I can promise you. And then she said, is there anything else? And I said, well, now that I feel like you have some understanding of me, I do want to say that my forehead is really wearing me down. It's really bumming me out. It's like an 8-lane highway. So if you have one thing, just one thing that could help with this stuff, I would be open to it. And Tish said, bangs. And I felt like that was the first person to listen to me in 10 years. Right? Like, that is exactly, like, and then it just makes you think about, like, in all seriousness, it really makes you think about how many conversations in your life, in a month, let's say, do you go into with one set of views and opinions and perspectives and come out with another? Like, most of the time, we're not really changing what the next person's going to say, and they're not really changing what we're going to say. We say the same thing that we would say to anyone, no matter what you just said to me, and I say the same thing back. And Tish didn't. Tish went into the conversation saying, I'm going to sell her these 3 $70 bottles of lotions and potions, and she came out saying, just cut your hair. So that's the beauty of Tell Me More. If it's like this is the sort of most unusual phrase that you'll find in this book, the most obvious thing that people have to say to each other in adult life is, I love you. So it couldn't be left out, but then I didn't know how to write about it in a way that would bring anything new to the topic. And then I felt like I did actually stumble on something that was important and inherent in those words. I remember kind of swooning when I learned how the French say it, je t'adore. I was in high school, and the phrase brought to mind kitten heels, martinis, and open mouth kissing. I want to say something about open mouth kissing, and that is that whoever talks about it, nobody. I haven't had a drink like since October because I've been having these headaches and alcohol totally exacerbates them, and so very sadly I've had to keep the cap on the tequila bottle, which is not how I like to roll. And I just want to say, like, making out with your husband completely sober is kind of weird. I mean, I can do it, but it's awkward. But really, when you're a grown-up, I love you is more romantic than the perfumey je t'adore. Informed love, love that is cut across time and thwarted its pressures, is a two-ton emotion, and the plain, full statement of it often makes my throat clog with feeling. I love you is not, I love your giggle and mysterious expressions and the way your bra matches your panties. It's even though your neck dropped into a waddle last year. I never want to make eye contact with anyone when I say that. No. Your neck is beautiful. I'm sorry that I looked at you. And you burp a lot after you eat Thai food, and you have not conquered your social insecurities, and I heard you yell sharply at our kids again, and you can't seem to bring yourself to be nicer to my mom or ask for that raise. I love you. As for the rest of our permanent relationships where people know each other too well, I find it nearly incomprehensible that in spite of every offense and oversight, we can still say I love you and mean it. I believe this emotional largesse is sometimes called forgiveness. Immediate, often unsolicited, sometimes undeserved forgiveness. That is what turns the wheel of family life. We forgive our parents for being wrong about us in so many ways, for seeing some things and not others, for missing the point. Our siblings for being smarter or richer, more athletic or happier than we are. Our children for diverging from our expectations, for scaring us with their developmentally appropriate but still dreadful risk-taking, for growing up and leaving and forgetting to call. Ourselves for being less than we planned when we were young and dreamed of outer space and Olympic medals. Such sprawling deficiency, ours, theirs, ever more varieties and degrees as each new day passes, to be acknowledged, to be pardoned. And yet we do. We love and are loved anyway. Differently, though, than we might have thought. From parent to teenager, I love you is not, I love the way our interactions leave me feeling useful and appreciated. It's even though I delivered you at permanent expense to my genitals, and you rolled your eyes at me when I tried to hit the dab, and you trapped me in that modern-day torture chamber of club music and olfactory assault, Abercrombie and filth. And then, later that day, impatient to be taken to Bridget's house, you beeped at me from the passenger seat in the driveway, like maybe I worked for you. I love you. Or from one sibling to another. I love you is not, I love the way we instantly make sense to each other and fall into plans effortlessly and always remember each other's birthdays. It's even though we hardly agree about a thing, including who should be president, how often we should call each other, or even where to get hoagies. Do you know what hoagies are? That's good. I love you. Or from a middle-aged woman to her mother. I love you is not, I love how we share clothes and taste in movies and concur on all aspects of raising a girl circa 2018. It's even though every time we talk, you tell me Joan Jennings' hearing is shot and ask me if I saw what Mark Cuban said on Shark Tank. My mom is like obsessed with Shark Tank. Or if you should get a Roku, or why your avatar in Netflix is a purple raccoon. And then we pretend you might one day come out to California again, even though it's been 5 years and we both know you're never getting on a plane again. I love you. Or to a dying parent, in this case a father. I love you is not, I love your spot-on career advice or how you always give it to me straight. It's even though you said you were feeling better after I smoothed your corn silk hair and put a pill way back on your tongue and cleaned your dentures under the running water and changed your diaper, even though I begged you not to leave, or if you had to leave, to just open your eyes one more time, and you left anyway, and I can't find you anywhere except on my answering machine where your boyish voice is asking me if we caught the last play of the Notre Dame game. I love you. The first time the words passed between two people, electrifying. 10,000 times later, cause for marvel. And the last, fading radio station you strained to tune to over and over and over again. How many people, I mean, has everyone here lost a parent? Yeah. It's so much bigger than you think it's going to be, even though you're like all grown up and it seems totally fair. So I'm going to read you one more chapter. My chapters are super short if you just panicked that you had other plans for the day. People often say oh my God, I read your book in an afternoon. And that's so awesome to hear that you couldn't put it down. But it's also like a little horrifying to think that something that took me 2 years to do is just like something to do while the laundry dries. This is the last chapter, and it's sort of a bookend to the first, and I don't think it needs any introduction. When I got out of college, my goal was to become interesting with a capital I. I fancied Mary Oliver poems, the word intrepid, and my motto, things happen when you leave the house being an easy signifier for everything familiar. My path was adventure. I saved for 2 years, living on my cousin's couch. Eventually, I filled a fanny pack with all the money I had, $3,800 in traveler's checks, a Lonely Planet guide, the phone number of a guy my dad used to know, and some antibiotics my mom made me bring. Which is like in one sentence, like, that's my parents. Like, my dad's like, Lovey, call this guy. He's great. I went drinking with him in New York City 12 years ago. My mom's like, you take these antibiotics. Tracy Tuttle by my side, I set off to see the world. After a couple months living large in Hong Kong, Thailand, and Melbourne, we found ourselves on a 12-hour bus ride to Sydney, counting our money, deciding we needed jobs. We became, of all things, nannies. Tracy for a family of 6, me for 2 kids whose mother had recently died. Something changed. Not immediately, but I left that house less smitten with world travelers and their ripping yarns, and more awed by people who had thrown themselves into what I was starting to see was the one gig that mattered, parenthood. Heading into my 30s, the life I have now, healthy kids and a sensible man to raise them with. Edward was like slightly disappointed to be reduced to a sensible man. But I was like, well, then do something crazy. Oh, was exactly the life I wanted. I knew that the coolest thing about the coolest people I knew was that they had made real families. Families with inside jokes and nicknames and weird pets they'd be talking about into their 80s. That's the shore I set out for. But bobbing around out there in my double-breasted dress barn power suit, I was drowning. Blame it on the freshman 15 I never lost, the Merit ultralights I couldn't give up, or my sailor mouth, but it took a long fucking time to find Mr. Right. Now, only 16 years into motherhood, I already want to go back to the time when tattoos were temporary and bedroom doors were open, when I knew precisely where my kids were and what they were doing, when I could pick them up without spraining my lumbar. Don't get me wrong, I want the now, too. When I'm traveling and call home, it's so good to hear their voices. I can't imagine being angry with any of them ever again. Same when they're sleeping. Or when they have like 101 fever, I really love them. Or when I see people hug on the curb at the airport or during the days around a memorial service. The week I spent writing Liz's eulogy, I swore I would never again hurry Edward along as he ranted about another bullshit technical foul on Draymond Green. And I would definitely stop giving the finger to my daughters' backs as they stormed away. But cycling between the kitchen, the desk, and the carpool, it can be hard to revel in the domestic litter of moldy towels and muddy cleats, much less the cacophony of clashing siblings, or worse, the near silence of click-clicking thumbs on smartphones, Rihanna whining from a bedroom radio left on. And what's the sound of eyes rolling, of marital friction, of the mind bending around itself, trying to decide when to step in, when to let them fail or fight or go to that kid's house you have a bad feeling about. It's a lonely business, and then sometimes strangely claustrophobic, but this is it. This is what I wanted and what Liz was pulled away from against her every fiber. This abstract performance art, called family life, is our one run at the ultimate improv. Our chance to be great for someone, to give another person enough of what they need to be happy. Ours to overlook or lose track of or bemoan, ours to recommit to apologize to try again for. Ours to watch disappear into their next self, toddler to tyke, tween to teen, ours to drop off somewhere and miss forever. It's happening right now, whether we attend to it or not. Like after preparing a nutritious meal that no one really liked. And a lot of blame gaming over who forgot to take out the compost, your peevish, greasy young adult tramps off to take the shower she should have taken 2 days ago, like mother, like daughter. She also has very thick hair. And the evening is shot to shit, and not 1 minute of it looked like the thing you prayed for so long ago. But then you hear something. You head up the stairs and hover outside the bathroom door. All the single ladies, all the single ladies. The kid is singing in the shower. Your profoundly ordinary kid is singing in the shower, and you get to be here to hear it. I sometimes feel like I spent 10 years writing just to understand that one thing, which is that your profoundly ordinary kid is singing in the shower and you get to be here to hear it. Like that, I might end on that note like that. I might not ever write another word again, because for me, that's like what I feel like I've been trying to say the whole time. So we have 15 minutes, let's say, for a little Q&A. Does anyone have a Q? Oh, we have a microphone too if you want to use it, or if you just want to holler. Okay, I'm going to tell you something then. If you're not going to cue me, or while you're thinking of one, you want to hear about Nantucket Project. Okay, so that's a great opening salvo. So in your seat you have this blue card, and there's this thing called the Nantucket Project, which is a little bit like an ideas festival. So you might think of like TED or Aspen Ideas Festival or something else cool that you've been to. There's one called EG that's really awesome. So it started on Nantucket, and it's 4 days, and it's about 40 different speakers come, and there's music, there's poetry, there's live art that we do together, and then there's the usual, not the usual speakers, but people like Tony Blair or Neil Young or Hope Solo or Marcia Clark, Julie Taymor, on and on and on. Really fascinating people from all different disciplines talking to the audience or in conversation with one another. And then the last little element of the big event in September is that there are short films. So there's 9-minute films, 21-minute films, et cetera, that punctuate the experience. And they're incredible, and they go to all the film festivals, and they win all the awards. And so all that is just like the big mashup that is the Nantucket Project. The problem with the Nantucket Project is that only 700 people fit in the tent, and it's all the way on Nantucket. So it's just sort of a pain to get there. So recently, like last July, I had spoken at the Nantucket Project 4 years ago, and then it went really well, and so they asked me to come back, and I got to interview some people the next year, and then the next year I got to share some writing, et cetera. And then finally they offered me a job, and I took it. And the job I took is to run this very important new project that they're coming up with, which is called the Neighborhood Project. And the Neighborhood Project is a way to take some of that cool stuff that happens on stage in Nantucket, put it into living rooms, and let small groups of members watch it together and then talk. And then we also, over the course between and then you do it again the next month. So you together, if you form a group, you meet 12 times a year. It's a little bit like book club without the book. And then we share stuff with you throughout the month after you see your short film. The films are like 20, 25 minutes. It's generally a mashup of 2 different things that you would never think to put together. And we think of it like emotional and intellectual CrossFit. And if you are a person who comes to a book reading at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, you will love the Neighborhood Project. Like, it's for anybody who loves to learn, loves to think, and loves to connect. That's who it's for. So I totally encourage you you can either sign up to be a member and then try to get plugged into a group, or you start a circle. So you would become a host, and you would find 8 to 15 people who want to become members with you, and then you guys would meet every month, just like people do for book club. Sounds cool, right? It's gonna save the world. You heard it here first. Yeah.
How's your mom?
My mom is so good. She's incredibly self-sufficient, and she's amazingly low maintenance. And so, and I think when you get older, she's 10 years younger than my dad. I think and most of their friends were his age. So by the time my dad died, she had seen a lot of different people die. And it happens all different ways. And there are really painful, prolonged, excruciating, draining ways that it can happen. And so she was very grateful in a way that I am not capable of being because I haven't seen it as much, that it went down the way it went down. It was about 2 weeks. Everybody was there. It was beautiful. He was himself until like 10 a.m. He died at 8 o'clock at night. Said his last word at 10 a.m. It was perfect. Priests all over the place. And his service was incredible and the reception. And so she just was really clinging to how well it went because she knew in a way that you can only know if you've gone to 50 funerals that he was definitely going to die someday. And she was definitely going to be the one left behind because she's so much younger. And I, in my romantic view, thought that he would just have 9 lives. And he had about 7, so I don't know what I'm asking for here. But yeah, she's great. She plays bridge. Both her bridge partners died, so she has 2 50-year-old bridge partners. She's like, I'm going to die on them. And she goes to church every day. And except this winter, because it's been like the craziest nor'easter. She hates that word, nor'easter. Why do they say nor'easter? Yeah, she's incredibly capable. She's very proud of the way she's maintaining her home. Like she's always reporting out to me that she got some new pipes put in, or she's putting a new roof on, or she had her storm windows installed, or whatever. So that's the nature of our relationship. Is that I call her all the time, like probably 5 times as much as she wants to be called. And she tells me things and then we hang up. That's it. And she still doesn't say I love you. So I'll say, all right, love you, Ma. And she'll say, bye-bye. Yeah. I saw her cry exactly like for about 3 minutes over the whole thing. And here's a great story. So my dad's service started at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. So everyone's leaving in waves, like my brothers and all the nieces and nephews and grandkids and stuff. And my mom says to me that morning, I want to go over with you, and I want to get there at about 2:59. I do not want to socialize. I don't want to hang around out front. So she's like an introvert in a family of extroverts, right? So it's just going to be this huge drama. And it was like 700 people. It was ridiculous. He coached, so there's a lot of kids. And so anyway, I'm waiting around with her, and it's I'm going to say it's 2:40, and the house is empty, but for me and my mother. And it's so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. And I'm trying really hard to just be whatever she wants me to be at that moment and not let in my own needs. And then that's not working, so I just popped open a Guinness. And because that seemed like the right thing to do. And so I'm having my Guinness, and the phone rings, and my mom is a realtor. So she picks up the phone, and now it's 2:52, and we really have to leave in like 3 minutes. And she says, "Hello," and they say, "Oh, hi, I'm calling about your listing at 5701 Keith Avenue." And she's like, "Uh-huh." I said, "But how's the inspection?" So the inspection turned out very well. I could send you the reports. Let me jot down your thing. And then they start asking more questions, as you would. And then finally she cuts him off and says, I have to go. I have to go to my husband's funeral. Let's talk tomorrow. And I just thought, like, what is that person thinking? Like, when they hang up the phone, it's like, oh my God. So that's how my mom's doing. Yeah.
So do your kids ever resent the time you give to Liz's kids or other people? I'm sure you take care of a lot of people. Do they ever feel like they're getting shortchanged?
Well, they never, so our family, our two families, Liz's family and our family are really close. So we're all in that together. And I think that they're very, very, we just were with Liz's family for a week over ski week, and I think that the experience of that has made them more sensitive, and I think they're very. The thing I'm thinking about that's making me so upset is I think that the most impressed they've ever been with me, which, like, they're teenagers, so they're not impressed with me at all. But, like, I think that the way that Claire was looking at me when I was taking care of Gwen, I just didn't think she had ever looked at me like that before. So that was good. Just impressed. I mean, I think she was like, thank God you're here, you're doing this just right, this is exactly what she needs. And it was so sad. I mean, losing a parent at that age, you just never stop losing them. You just keep losing them over and over and over again. Like it, so some dumb thing happened at lunch where one of Liz's kids dropped her plate and the food went everywhere, and she was really, really embarrassed. She's like a little more shy, and she got really upset and she couldn't get unupset. And so then we stepped aside, and I said, she said something, and she said, he doesn't know how to do it. And I said, what doesn't he know how to do? And she said, make me feel better. And I said, what would your mom do? And she goes, I don't know, but it would work. And I just thought, like, this is the torture that this is. I mean, and I know from older people who've gone through college and stuff and getting married, and they just keep not being there. And so I don't think that my kids would ever, ever, ever resent a minute that I spent with the Lots kids. And in fact, I think they're really grateful that I'm kind of the leader of our family on how to respond to it, and then they follow behind me, and I think they're grateful for the leadership, because it's scary when something starts unraveling, and it's very helpful if somebody seems like they know what they're doing. And but I do travel a lot for work, and I do think that it just had a huge influence on our kids, for better or worse. I mean, I think in some ways, they've been filling out their own forms and going to, making their appointments with people and interviewing for job stuff and for a long, long time. And I'm sure that that's to the good. They have to catch rides a lot. Like Georgia really doesn't like having to ask for rides. She finds it really awkward. And my schedule's so wild that she's forced to do that a lot, so maybe that's a good thing, or maybe she's just going to hate me for it. I don't know. Or maybe both. Maybe it's and, not or. But I do want to say, like, there's a big price to pay for a job where you have to travel. And it's probably my loss above all, because I lost a lot of nights. But theirs too, a little bit. And I did have a teacher once say, when Georgia was like in 4th grade, I had a teacher look me right in the eyes and say, you need to stay home more. And I was like, fuck. Yeah. My husband's read them all, of course, and he's kind of my last eyes on the page before I have to hand it in. Because I secretly concede that he's smarter than I am. And I feel there's a real anxiety around making an ass out of yourself with your work. And so I wait, and if he says, like, it is good, you will not be embarrassed by this, you can send it out. That's what I wait for. And sometimes, I don't get it. I don't always get it the first time. And then my kids are weirdly uncomfortable. Like, I don't think they want to read it. They like hearing it. They've been to tons of readings. They could probably like recite different passages from different books, but they don't. Georgia says it's really weird. So when my dad died, I gave her middle place and said, here you go. Like, this is the day to read this book. And it's so funny because her friend is reading it right now, and I just got the most hilarious round of text from her. I'm going to read it to you because it's so funny. One moment, please. Her name is Emily Yu, and I call her EU, and she calls me K-Core. K-Core, this book is so deep, man. It's so good. Wow. It makes me tear up sometimes, and it's just written so well. I feel like this is the most well-written book I've read. It's just so good. I love it. So maybe now that EU has signed off on me as like a good writer, maybe my children will be more open to bothering. EU has a lot of influence in my house, so this could be a big turning point for us. But I did just read something Claire wrote, and I thought, oh, you've definitely, I mean, could be totally terrible, actually, but I'll admit it. What I was going to say is you've totally read my stuff because you're imitating it on the page. Like she was writing something about the NBA, actually, that could be kind of clinical, and she was adding all these little details and stuff, and I was like, this is reminding me of the middle place a little bit. So anyway. Yes. Do you guys know about Notes and Words? Do you know that Dave Grohl is coming? Do you know that he's like playing 10 songs acoustic? And then do you know who George Saunders is? He's a writer. He's extraordinary. He wrote Lincoln in the Bardo, which just won the Man Booker Prize. And Americans don't typically win the Man Booker Prize, so that was huge. And it was also a #1 New York Times bestseller, which is kind of amazing to have such a literary book be also so popular. And he is it's interesting because Dave Grohl is often called the nicest man in rock and roll, and George Saunders is called the nicest man of letters. So I think it's a really nice show. And then they just call me a bitch. And between the three of us, so anyway, it's May 12th, it's at the Fox Theater. There are some tickets left, not tons. The goal was to raise, the goal of Notes and Words always from the get-go was to raise $1 million in a night. And I think we are like this close to raising $2 million this year. So I know there are a bunch of seats in the $200 range. They're in the, I think it's called the mezzanine, but it's the thing that hangs over the floor. And they're actually phenomenal seats. So spread the word. And you should just know that if you're ever going to anything, that the seats in the front 2 rows of the thing that hangs over are awesome. And then there are a few humongous packages on the floor, $10,000, $25,000, et cetera, if you're just, I don't know, had a windfall and you're feeling really generous. And it's all for Children's Hospital Oakland, and I have not, in all my years, I used to work for United Way, so I'm very familiar with a lot of nonprofits. I don't know that I've ever found a nonprofit that does so much with so little. I mean, they are getting so much done. They're seeing hundreds of thousands of kids in a year, paying, non-paying, everything from like asthma to chemotherapy to sports therapy. And it's just such hard work. I volunteer in there, actually in the hospital holding babies in the NICU, and it is just astonishing the sheer amount of children and families that they're taking care of, and then the way they take care of them for the amount of money that they have is like mind-blowing. Yes?
And there's a match if you do a bigger...
There is. So if you want to give $10,000 or more, you talk to me, because I have a way to double it. And it has been a great year for the stock market, and it's about to crash, so I just give some stock. I want to say something about Karen and this place that you're in. Do you guys use this place, or are you visiting for the first time? Okay, so this is, when remember SimCity? Do you remember that software where it's like you got to build a city? And so there's, you got to put in like a few things immediately, or the software tells you that you're not a good city planner. Isn't it funny that there was a children's software that was city planning, and it was super popular? But anyway, the things you have to put in are like a hospital, a police department, and a library. Because a library today is like the third place. It's a place where people can come for free and do all sorts of things, way, way, way beyond checking a book out. And these guys are putting on so many programs, like 10,000 programs in 10 years. Is that right? Yeah. And then they've got hundreds of kids coming every day after school just to do their homework here. So places like this are totally essential. So thank you for coming today. Thank you for making a little donation with your ticket. And if you ever feel like you might want to just whip off a $100 check for the library, they will too put it to great use. Thank you. Oh, wait. Sorry, I forgot something. Okay. Hang on. This is Martha. Martha is in charge of taking care of people who want to try the neighborhood project. So anybody who wants to give it a whirl, talk to Martha and she'll get you started and you guys can exchange info and all that.
And before everybody gets up, I just want to call bullshit on your bullshit, telling me mine was bullshit, because it was not every word true about Kelly that I said.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the real deal, brings it all forward. And I just want to say thank you again. We appreciate you. Keep writing. We love you, your voice, and everything about you, honey. Your hair, your freeway lines.
Bangs.
So hopefully everybody can get their book signed, and thank you so much for
You're
being
so
here.
welcome. Thank you. Oh, wait. Will you hold your book up? Do you have a book? Now you have to like say something because I'm videotaping. So what should we say? Like, tell me more. Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3. Tell me more. Hi guys, nice to see you.
This is it.
This is it.
In case I don't get to again, between now and then you have to run out the door.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And if you need anything about Tuesday night or
Okay.
whatever the night is,
Yeah.
just let me know.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll.
You on the seating, dining table.
They
Okay,
get
great.
Dinner, you know, they have a
I know. There's.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Okay.
I have the dead dad and the 13 pounds.
Say it again.
I had the dead dad and the 13 pounds this year. Exactly
Oh.
13 pounds.
It's the grieving.
It's a grieving diet.
Yeah.
Only a scan diet. Okay, can we get you water or something?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know what you prefer.
Sure. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Okay, that's just what I needed on my way to work. That was hilarious and
I'm just a first namer.
great. Perfect. And normally I just have you sign your name so that way if I give it away, then.
Oh, yeah.
No. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Is this?
ANIA.
How are you, doll? Mwah. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I know, it's a tough one. Everybody wants to spell Marcy in different ways.
Yeah.
So many ways. Thanks, Kelly.
Sure. Hi. How are you? Thank you.
Great job. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. How are you?
So great.
And what's the other one?
Thanks.
Sure.
So, yeah, and Corey is Korrr.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You've come to our CHG events in the past. It's always good to hear you speak.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
How is CHG?
We're good.
Yeah?
We keep raising money for the hospital.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
They need it.
Yeah. So we just raised over 400,000.
Way to go.
That's
That's awesome. Okay.
Hi, Miss Kelly.
Hi. We were just talking about CHG.
I know. Well, it's so good to hear. I mean, notes and words.
Ask for a signed book. I just want to say
It's
hi.
Allie.
It was amazing.
Mwah.
Amazing.
I met Edward at her birthday just party. By her.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's with
The Barretts.
the bear. No,
Yeah,
just
just Beth. Oh, I know. It was
wow, I know.
fantastic. Uh-huh. Hi. How are you? Good. It's nice to meet you. You're so cute. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
My mom couldn't come today, and she just lost her dad, so
Oh.
I gave this to her for Valentine's
Oh.
Day. She is just about. She's actually at a memorial service.
Should I write this to somebody?
No.
Okay.
These are gifts that I'm gonna.
How's your life?
Awesome.
It is?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And you're going gangbusters on CHG stuff?
Well, you know, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk. I love.
You got to do the neighborhood
I will
project.
for sure do it.
Did you talk to Martha?
Yeah. Yes.
That you're the
Okay.
perfect person for
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank
Good to see you. Hi.
I've loved you for so long. I'm from Wayne, so we're
You are?
right near Martin's Dam.
No
so when I
way.
read the first book, I was like, oh, I know.
Did you go to Radnor? Did you go to Conestoga?
I went to Upper Marion. We were like right
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah,
edge,
yeah,
Bob
yeah.
White Farms, that whole
Sure.
area. Yeah.
Right on. So nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi.
Thank you. It was
You're
great.
welcome.
I loved it.
Thank you. Hi.
Can we do a picture?
Sure, of course.
Actually go to the camera thing. It's so nice. I read your book, Middle Place, many years ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. The book club came. So this is
Ah,
our next book.
awesome. Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
You're wonderful. The first time I heard you was at the Children's Health Field Luncheon like 5 years ago.
Oh my God, that was so fun. In December or something.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I vividly remember it.
Join the organization.
Oh, thanks.
You made me join the organization.
Oh, good. Good. You're welcome. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Excited to meet you.
Enjoy it. Hi.
So my husband's family is from Piedmont.
No way.
Yeah, the Trimbles. And we own Village Market.
No way.
If you're ever in the neighborhood, we'd love to have you in.
Oh, I love Village Market. I go there all the time.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my husband's name is Keith.
Keith. Okay, great. I'll look out for him.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you again.
My pleasure.
I'm a NICU nurse at UCSF in the city, so thank you for volunteering.
You're so welcome. I mean, it's my.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Appreciate. Our family's an oncology family at
Oh,
Children's,
no way.
So we, your books have gotten me through many long nights sitting
Oh.
in windowsills. So
Yeah.
thank you.
How's your child?
Good.
He is. Is he finished?
He's in remission. We just finished. Yeah, he's done. So, yeah,
I don't know
so
how
thank
you do it.
But same way we all do everything, right?
Right? Good for you. Hi. How are you? You're so welcome.
Yeah, my friend. Thank you.
Hi. How are you?
Fine. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Great way to spend a Friday morning.
DERI.
D-E.
Oh, Dina.
D-E-E-N-A, sorry. Perfect.
That's right.
And then just regular signature on that.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a nice recovery from an explosive morning with my 5-year-old. Thank you.
Ah,
Good reminder. Appreciate it.
sure. Hi.
Love listening to you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. See you at Notes and Words next time. I know. Sorry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
It's gonna be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi.
So much. Kelly knows me.
Hi. Is this for you?
This is for me, and then this is for my sister Julie for her 55th.
Oh.
A little bit.
How you
I'm
doing?
good. Thank you for the good plug for children's. Oh, you are? Oh, good. Good. Well, you'll have good seats this year, too. So, as usual. Thanks, Kelly.
Sure. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you say Happy Mother's Day?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi. Ah. You went to Roro? Oh my God. I went down there many times. I went every fall break. Yeah. And you know, Booker was there for so long. We really got to enjoy it.
And can I tell you how fun it is, other than like the insights and humor, your references? I grew up near the Philadelphia area.
Oh, you did?
Camp Taqua.
Did you go to Camp Taqua?
I did.
Oh.
It's like, it's so fun to see that.
I loved Taqua so much.
So glad for the Mary Oliver and the George Saunders.
Oh, I know, right? Thanks. Hi.
I know, it takes a
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I loved it.
Thanks. Hi.
Fantastic. I sell houses too, so your mom is right on.
Right? Just pick
Keeping
up
her
that
alive,
phone. Yep,
right?
it is.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. How you doing? Cute jacket.
Oh, thank you.
Cute shirt, the whole thing. It's really working.
Well, I have to run to work now, so I have
What do you do?
I'm an event producer.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Where?
It's a company called Envision in Walnut Creek.
Right on.
Like user conferences, product launches.
Right on.
Good speaker for a lot of
Right
people.
on. Right on.
I was like, this is homework for me today.
Yeah, that's right. You can write off your $25.
The company I was telling you about yesterday.
Hi. My pleasure. Hi. Hi. How are you?
To indulge me with two.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I know, people come up with 5 and they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's awesome.
What is that? Thank you so much. That was really funny.
My pleasure.
You can stick it. It says Nan.
Okay, great.
Oh, wait, sorry, my mistake.
My mistake.
Hi.
I grew up in Little Rock with Edward,
No way.
so this is for the two of you.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. We just had the Lichties here.
Oh my gosh, like this.
Larry and Nancy. Yeah.
Liz.
Ellen and Susan.
Liz, Ellen.
And Susan.
Awesome. Oh,
That's for you.
I have it. Yeah, oh yeah. She sent